Have you ever heard the saying, silence is golden? Well, in dance, stillness is golden. Why? Because it creates contrast. I've heard musicians talk about rhythm, that it's not just the notes, it's the space between the notes. That's what gives you rhythm. It's the silence between the notes. So when you're creating an interesting movement phrase, really listen to the music, and if it calls for a pause at the end, or if it calls for a pause moving into the new phrase, use that, play that up. I was coaching one of my live teams last Friday, and she's working with music that changes speed. The beginning of it was very slow, and she just continued to move slow through the whole beginning. And I said, this phrase, this music phrase concludes, it repeats, it concludes, it repeats, it concludes. And I said, let's use a pause on that. Everything goes still. And then move and wind it down into a pause. And I told her, watching her do this, her scores would have jumped 20 points just in adding those pauses. So pause is a really, really creative artistic tool to use when it's used correctly. I remember another incident when one of the best teams I ever coached was in competition for titling. And we had some pauses built into her routine. And I saw her hold that pause to the very, very last fraction of a second and then break out of it. And that intensity, that excitement, I knew that her and her dog were locked in to the music, to the performance, to each other, because she could take it right to the edge and then break out of it. And that was so fascinating. And I was sitting there at the table just with this huge smile on my face, knowing they were nailing this. If she had that kind of control to milk it all the way to the very last fraction of a second and then break out of it, they were primed for success. So using pauses is something, like I said, it's very artistic, and it takes practice. It takes knowing, do I want to start the movement phrase with a pause? Do I want to conclude a movement phrase with a pause? Where's a good spot for a pause? Well, I'm going to be holding my next Zoom discussion based on the idea of pauses. So if you'd like to join me, it's a free Zoom discussion on June 23rd at 7 o'clock p.m., that's Pacific time, June 24th at 4 o'clock, and June 25th at noon Pacific time. And I'm only going to accept a handful of handlers in each time slot so that I can really answer your questions and maybe have you test a few things out on pause. So I hope that I'll see you at the Zoom discussion. All you have to do is comment and say, I'd like in on Friday or Saturday or Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Let me know what day and time and send me your email, and I'll make sure that I send you the link to join us. So once again, dabble with pauses because it's contrast to movement. Just like it is in music, the quiet, the absence of sound is what really brings the color out. So in other words, if you're looking up at the sky and you see clouds, it's not just the white cloud you're seeing the blue contrast of the sky against it. That's what makes the complete picture. So I'll see you June 23rd, 24th, or 25th for my free discussion on pauses.